Marcus, please, I didn't mean to. The sharp crack of her ex-fiancé's palm across her cheek echoed through the marble foyer, sending Emma stumbling backward toward the grand staircase of the Blackstone Hotel. Her emerald evening gown caught on her heel as she fought to regain balance. "You embarrassed me in front of my business partners." Marcus Whitman's voice boomed through the luxury hotel's entrance. His usually pristine blonde hair was disheveled, his designer tuxedo wrinkled from his aggressive movements. "Do you have any idea what you've cost me tonight?" Emma pressed her hand to her burning cheek, her long auburn hair falling like a curtain around her face. "I only asked if the charity was legitimate. I didn't know—" "You didn't know because you never think." Marcus grabbed her wrist, his manicured fingers digging into her pale skin. 5 years I've wasted on you, and this is how you repay me? By questioning my judgment in public." The 28-year-old kindergarten teacher had never seen this side of her fiancé before. Sure, Marcus had always been controlling, always needed to be the center of attention at his corporate events, but this rage was something entirely different. Something terrifying. "Marcus, you're hurting me." Emma tried to pull away, but his grip only tightened. "Please, let's just go home and talk about this calmly." "Home?" His laugh was bitter, cruel. "There is no home for us anymore, Emma. Not after tonight. Not after you made me look like a fool in front of Vincent Torino." At the mention of that name, Emma felt a chill run down her spine. Even she knew who Vincent Torino was. Everyone in the city whispered about the mysterious businessman who owned half the restaurants, hotels, and nightclubs downtown. The man whose steel-gray eyes seemed to see everything, whose presence commanded respect and fear in equal measure. "I saw the way you looked at him," Marcus continued, his voice dropping to a venomous whisper. "The way you smiled when he spoke to you. Did you think I wouldn't notice?" "That's insane. I barely said 2 words to him." "Liar." Marcus's free hand came up again, but this time Emma was ready. She ducked, trying to escape his grasp, but her heel caught in the hem of her dress. Time seemed to slow as she felt herself falling backward toward the marble stairs. Her green eyes widened in terror as she realized what was about to happen. But instead of releasing her to break her fall, Marcus gave her wrist a violent shove. "Maybe this will teach you some respect," he snarled. Emma's world tilted as she tumbled toward the unforgiving stone steps. She closed her eyes, bracing for the impact that would surely break bones, possibly worse. But instead of cold marble, she found herself caught in strong, warm arms that smelled of expensive cologne and danger. Her eyes flew open to meet the most intense, steel-gray gaze she'd ever encountered. Vincent Torino held her effortlessly, his powerful frame steady despite catching her full weight. At 35, he was devastatingly handsome, in a way that spoke of both refinement and barely contained violence. His black hair was perfectly styled, his olive-toned skin spoke of Mediterranean heritage, and his tailored black suit probably cost more than Emma made in 6 months. "Are you hurt?" His voice was deep, accented with just a hint of something European. Italian, perhaps. His large hands were gentle as they supported her, but she could feel the coiled strength in his touch. For a moment, Emma couldn't speak. She was lost in those storm-gray eyes that seemed to see straight through to her soul. I don't think so," she whispered. Vincent's jaw tightened as he looked from her reddened cheek to the man standing at the top of the stairs. With fluid grace, he set Emma on her feet, keeping one protective hand on her lower back. "Marcus Whitman." Vincent's voice carried the quiet authority of a man accustomed to being obeyed. "I believe you have something to say to the lady." Marcus's face had gone pale, all his earlier bravado evaporating in the presence of the most powerful man in the city. "Mr. Torino, this is a private matter between me and my fiancé." "Ex-fiancé," Emma said quietly, surprising herself with her firmness. She pulled the engagement ring from her finger, a gaudy 2-carat diamond that had never felt right, and let it clatter to the marble floor. Vincent's lips curved in what might have been approval. "You heard the lady. I suggest you leave. Now. You can't just... Marcus started down the stairs, his face reddening with renewed anger. Emma, you're making a mistake. You need me. Without me, you're nothing but a pathetic teacher who'll end up alone with a classroom full of other people's children. Hey, just before we continue, please go down and press the subscribe button so I can prove to my mom that I can do this. Thank you. The words hit Emma like physical blows. They were her deepest fears, the insecurities Marcus had fed for years, making her feel small and worthless. But Vincent stepped forward, and suddenly Marcus's descent down the stairs stopped abruptly. The businessman's presence was like a physical force, radiating danger that made the air itself seem thicker. Touch her again, Vincent said softly, his voice carrying a promise that made Emma's blood run cold, even though it wasn't directed at her. And die. The words weren't shouted or dramatic. They were spoken with the casual certainty of someone stating a simple fact, like mentioning the weather. But there was something in Vincent's eyes, something ancient and deadly, that made it clear this wasn't an idle threat. Marcus went white as paper. She's not worth this. You can have her. He turned and fled through the hotel's revolving doors without looking back. Emma's legs suddenly felt unsteady. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving her shaking with reaction. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry you had to see that. I didn't mean to cause a scene in your hotel. Vincent turned to her, and his expression softened. This is my hotel? Everyone knows the Blackstone belongs to you, Mr. Torino. Just like they know you don't suffer fools gladly. Emma wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly feeling very small in the vast marble foyer. I should go. Where? His question was simple, but it stopped her cold. Emma realized she had nowhere to go. The apartment she'd shared with Marcus was in his name. Her car was in the shop. Her closest friends lived hours away, and it was nearly midnight. She had her purse, her phone, and the dress on her back. I'll figure something out, she said, lifting her chin with a pride she didn't feel. Vincent studied her for a long moment. Have dinner with me. What? Emma blinked, certain she'd misheard. It's late, but the restaurant here serves until 2 a.m. You're shaking, probably from shock, and you need food. His tone brooked no argument, but there was kindness in it too. Unless you have somewhere else to be? Emma wanted to say no. She wanted to maintain some dignity, to walk out of here on her own terms. But the truth was she was terrified, exhausted, and the thought of being alone right now made her want to cry. Why are you being kind to me? She asked instead. Something flickered in Vincent's eyes. Surprise, maybe? When was the last time someone showed you kindness without expecting something in return? The question hit her harder than Marcus's slap had. Emma realized she couldn't remember. With Marcus, every gift came with strings. Every gesture of affection was currency to be repaid later. I don't know, she admitted. Vincent extended his arm. Then perhaps it's time you remembered what that feels like. Against her better judgment, Emma found herself taking his offered arm. His strength was reassuring, and for the first time in years, she felt truly safe. The restaurant was elegant but not ostentatious, with soft lighting and rich burgundy leather booths. Vincent guided her to a private corner table where they wouldn't be disturbed. He helped her into her seat like she was made of spun glass. Wine? He asked, and at her nod, he spoke quietly to the server in rapid Italian. The man nodded respectfully and hurried away. You really are Italian, Emma said, then blushed at her own boldness. My grandmother was from Sicily. She raised me after my parents died. Vincent's expression grew distant. She taught me that how a man treats a woman says everything about his character. She sounds wise. She was. She also would have taken a wooden spoon to Marcus Whitman's head for laying hands on a lady. Despite everything, Emma found herself laughing. The sound surprised her. When was the last time she'd really laughed? How old were you when you lost your parents? 12. Vincent's answer was matter of fact, but Emma caught the flash of old pain in his eyes. Car accident. Nonna Sofia took me in, fed me more pasta than any human should consume, and made sure I understood that family, real family, is everything. The wine arrived, something red and expensive that warmed Emma from the inside out. Vincent ordered for both of them without being presumptuous, somehow knowing she needed comfort food, not complicated cuisine. "What about you?" he asked as they waited for their meal. "Family?" "My parents died when I was 22. Car accident, like yours." Emma traced the rim of her wine glass. "No grandmother to take me in, though. Just student loans, a teaching degree, and the determination to make something of myself. Teaching is honorable work." Emma looked up, surprised. "Marcus always said it was a waste of my potential, that I was too pretty to spend my life with other people's children." Vincent's jaw tightened. "Marcus Whitman is a fool. Children are our future. Shaping young minds, giving them the tools they need to build better lives. There's nothing more important." "You really believe that?" "I know it. My nonna couldn't read English when she came to this country, but she made sure I could. Education opens doors, creates opportunities." He leaned forward, his intensity making Emma's pulse quicken. "What you do matters, Emma. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Tears pricked at Emma's eyes. When was the last time someone had validated her career choice? Her passion? Marcus had spent 5 years slowly eroding her confidence, making her feel like her dreams were silly, her ambitions too small. "Why do you care what I think?" she asked. Vincent was quiet for a long moment. "Because I've spent my entire adult life surrounded by people who tell me what they think I want to hear. Politicians, business partners, employees, they all smile and nod and agree with everything I say. But you questioned a charity tonight because you genuinely cared about where the money was going. You risked your relationship, your social standing, because you have principles." "Look how well that turned out," Emma said bitterly. "It turned out perfectly. You discovered your fiancé's true character before you married him. You saved yourself years of unhappiness." The food arrived, rich risotto with wild mushrooms for her, something that looked like the world's most perfect pasta for him. Emma realized she was starving and dove in with more enthusiasm than was probably proper. Vincent watched her eat with something that might have been affection. "Better?" "Much." Emma dabbed at her lips with the linen napkin. "Thank you. For dinner, for everything. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't caught me. I would have killed him." Vincent's tone was conversational, but there was steel underneath that made Emma believe he meant it literally. "Some things are unforgivable. You don't even know me." "I know enough." He reached across the table and gently traced the fading mark on her cheek with his fingertip. "I know you're brave enough to speak up for what's right. I know you're strong enough to walk away from a comfortable life because it was built on lies. I know you have a kind heart and a brilliant mind." Emma's breath caught at his touch. "Vincent, I also know," he continued, his voice dropping to a husky whisper, "that you deserve to be cherished, protected, loved the way a woman should be loved. We just met. Sometimes that's all it takes." His thumb brushed across her cheekbone. "My nonna used to say that souls recognize each other, even when the mind needs time to catch up." Emma's heart was racing now. This was insane. She'd just ended her engagement hours ago. Vincent Torino was dangerous, powerful, completely outside her world. But when he looked at her like that, when he touched her so gently, she felt like she could conquer the world. "I don't have anywhere to go tonight," she admitted. "I have a penthouse upstairs, 3 bedrooms, completely secure, and I promise you'll be safe." He must have seen her hesitation because he added, "I have business to attend to anyway. You'll have the place to yourself." "Business at this hour?" Vincent's smile was enigmatic. "My work doesn't follow normal schedules." Emma knew she should ask more questions, should demand details about his business, his life, his intentions. But she was exhausted, emotionally drained, and the thought of being alone in some sterile hotel room was unbearable. "Okay," she said softly. The penthouse was breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city lights. The decor was masculine but elegant, rich leathers and dark woods, original artwork that Emma suspected was worth more than her annual salary. Vincent showed her to a guest room that was larger than her old apartment. The attached bathroom had a soaking tub that could fit 3 people, and towels so plush they felt like clouds. "There are clothes in the closet," Vincent said, lingering in the doorway. "My assistant keeps things here for unexpected guests. You should find something that fits." "You have a lot of unexpected female guests?" Emma asked, then immediately regretted the question. What right did she have to be jealous? Vincent's smile was slow and devastating. "No, Emma, I don't." He started to leave, then turned back. "Lock the door if it makes you feel safer, but know that no one will hurt you here. I give you my word." After he left, Emma explored the closet and found designer clothes in her exact size, tags still attached. Either Vincent was very good at guessing measurements, or his assistant was incredibly thorough. She chose a silk nightgown in deep sapphire blue and ran a bath hot enough to ease the tension from her shoulders. As she soaked in the lavender-scented water, she tried to process everything that had happened. 24 hours ago, she'd been planning her wedding to a man she thought she loved. Tonight, she was in the penthouse of the most dangerous man in the city, feeling more alive than she had in years. Emma was toweling her hair dry when she heard Vincent return. His voice carried through the walls as he spoke to someone. A phone call, she realized. She couldn't make out the words, but his tone was hard, commanding. This was the voice of a man accustomed to giving orders and having them followed without question. A thrill ran through her that had nothing to do with fear. She found him in the kitchen, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up to reveal strong forearms. He'd traded the commanding businessman persona for something more relaxed, more real. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked, looking up from the espresso machine. "Too much to think about." Emma pulled the silk robe tighter around herself, suddenly self-conscious. "I hope I'm not intruding." "Never." Vincent's eyes darkened as they took in her appearance. "You look beautiful." Heat pooled in Emma's stomach at the hunger in his gaze. "Vincent, I should tell you." "You're not ready," he said gently. "I know. I'm not asking you to be." "Then what are you asking?" He handed her a perfect cappuccino, his fingers brushing hers as she took the cup. "For time, for the chance to show you what it feels like to be valued, respected, desired for who you are, rather than who someone wants you to be." Emma's hands trembled slightly as she sipped the coffee. "I don't understand you. You could have anyone. Models, actresses, socialites. Why me?" Vincent moved closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne, feel the heat radiating from his body. "Because when I look at you, I see home. I see peace. I see a future I never thought I could have." "Your future can't include a kindergarten teacher from the suburbs." "My future can include whatever I choose." His hand came up to cup her face, thumb tracing her lower lip. "The question is what you choose." Emma's breath hitched. She knew she should step away, should maintain some boundaries. But Vincent's touch was gentle fire, and she'd been cold for so long. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Of me? Of this? Of how you make me feel?" She looked up into those storm-gray eyes. "When you touch me, I forget everything else. That's dangerous." "Why?" "Because I've spent 5 years becoming smaller, quieter, less than I used to be. With you, I want to be more. I want to be brave and reckless and—" Vincent silenced her with a kiss that was soft as silk and devastating as lightning. His lips moved against hers with reverent hunger, as if she were something precious he'd been searching for his entire life. Emma melted into him, her coffee cup forgotten on the counter as her hands fisted in his shirt. She could taste espresso and promise on his tongue, could feel the barely restrained power in the arms that held her close. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. "Be brave," Vincent whispered against her lips. "Be reckless. Be everything you were meant to be. And if it doesn't work, if this is just adrenaline and gratitude, and Then we'll figure it out together. He rested his forehead against hers. But Emma, what I feel for you, it's not gratitude. It's not adrenaline. It's everything. Emma searched his face, looking for deception, for the kind of manipulation she'd grown used to with Marcus. But all she saw was honesty, desire, and something that looked suspiciously like love. Okay, she breathed. Okay? Show me. Show me what it feels like to be cherished. Vincent's smile was brilliant, transforming his entire face. It would be my honor. The next few weeks passed in a blur of discovery. Vincent courted Emma like she was a queen, with flowers delivered to her classroom, surprise lunches at charming cafes, evenings at the opera where he watched her face more than the performance. He never pressured her for more than she was ready to give, but his desire was a constant presence, in the way his eyes followed her movements, in the careful distance he maintained until she reached for his hand, in the kisses that grew more passionate each night before he pulled away with visible effort. Emma found herself blooming under his attention. The confidence Marcus had slowly eroded began to return. She laughed more, spoke up for herself, started wearing colors that made her feel beautiful instead of invisible. Her students noticed the change too. Miss Emma was happier, more patient, quicker to smile. She brought new energy to her lessons, as if someone had reminded her why she'd chosen teaching in the first place. "You're glowing," her colleague Sarah observed one afternoon as they supervised the playground. "This new man of yours must be something special." Emma watched Vincent's black sedan pull up to the school. He'd started picking her up when his schedule allowed, charming her principal and fellow teachers with his old-world courtesy and obvious devotion. "He is," Emma admitted. Vincent emerged from the car, looking like he'd stepped out of a magazine, perfectly tailored charcoal suit, dark hair gleaming in the afternoon sun. But his smile when he saw her was pure warmth, the reserved businessman facade dropping away completely. Several of Emma's students noticed him and waved. Vincent actually waved back, his expression soft as he watched the children play. "Miss Emma!" 6-year-old Lucy bounded over, all pigtails and gap-toothed grin. "Is that your prince?" Emma blushed furiously. "Lucy, you can't just—" "He's very handsome," the little girl continued matter-of-factly. "And he brings you flowers. My daddy says that's how you know a man is serious." Out of the mouths of babes. Emma glanced at Vincent, who had clearly heard every word and was trying not to laugh. "Go get your backpack, sweetheart," Emma said gently. "I'll see you tomorrow." As Lucy skipped away, Vincent approached with the easy stride of a man comfortable in his own skin. "Prince, I think I like that better than what the newspapers usually call me. And what's that?" "The Prince of Darkness, mostly. Though the Chronicle went with the Devil in Armani last month." Emma studied his face, looking for signs that the reputation bothered him. "Does it hurt, what they say about you?" Vincent considered the question seriously. "It used to. Now I realize it serves a purpose. Fear keeps enemies at a distance, makes business negotiations smoother. But it also keeps good things at a distance," Emma said softly. "It did, until you." He offered her his arm. "Dinner tonight?" "Actually," Emma said, surprising herself with her boldness, "I was thinking we could eat in. I could cook for you." Vincent stopped walking. "You want to cook for me?" "I'm a good cook. Marcus never liked—" She caught herself. "Sorry, I'm trying not to compare everything to my past. Don't apologize, and for the record, I would love nothing more than a home-cooked meal." Vincent's voice was husky with emotion. "No one has cooked for me since my grandmother died." That evening, Emma stood in Vincent's state-of-the-art kitchen, feeling slightly overwhelmed by the professional-grade appliances. She'd settled on pasta, something simple but elegant that wouldn't be ruined if she was nervous. Vincent sat at the kitchen island, sleeves rolled up, tie discarded, looking more relaxed than she'd ever seen him. He'd opened a bottle of wine and was telling her stories about his grandmother, his voice warm with memory. Nonna Sofia insisted on making everything from scratch: pasta, bread, even growing her own tomatoes on the fire escape of our tiny apartment. He gestured with his wineglass. She said food made with love tastes different than anything else. Emma looked up from the simmering sauce. Is that why you wanted me to cook for you? For the love? The words hung in the air between them. Neither had said, I love you, yet, though Emma felt it growing stronger every day. But saying it would change everything, make this real in a way that scared and thrilled her in equal measure. Vincent set down his glass and moved around the island to stand behind her. His hands settled on her waist, pulling her back against his chest. Yes, he said simply, his lips brushing her ear. For the love. Emma's hands stilled on the wooden spoon. Vincent, I know it's too soon. I know this is complicated. But Emma, I am completely, irrevocably in love with you. His arms tightened around her. You don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. Emma turned in his arms, her heart pounding. What if I wanted to say it back? Do you? I love you, she whispered, the words tumbling out like a confession. I love your strength and your gentleness. I love how you make me feel brave. I love that you see me, really see me, and think I'm worth protecting. Vincent's kiss was fierce, desperate, full of months of restrained passion, finally given free rein. Emma kissed him back with equal fervor, her hands tangling in his hair, her body pressing against his with shameless need. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard, and the smell of burning garlic filled the kitchen. The sauce, Emma gasped, spinning to rescue dinner. Vincent laughed, the sound rich and joyful. I don't care about the sauce. But Emma was already stirring frantically, adding wine and fresh herbs to salvage the meal. I wanted it to be perfect. It is perfect. Vincent watched her bustle around his kitchen like she belonged there, his expression soft with wonder. You're perfect. They ate by candlelight in the dining room, the city sparkling below them through the massive windows. The pasta was delicious. Emma had saved the sauce after all, but Vincent barely seemed to taste it. He was too busy watching her, as if he still couldn't quite believe she was real. What happens now? Emma asked over dessert, tiramisu from the hotel's pastry chef, since Emma's culinary ambitions had limits. Now you move in with me, Vincent said matter-of-factly. Emma nearly choked on her wine. What? Your lease is up next month anyway. I had it investigated. At her startled look, he had the grace to look sheepish. I wanted to make sure Marcus couldn't use it to hurt you. And you spend half your time here already. It was true. Emma had been staying at the penthouse more often than her own small apartment, drawn by Vincent's presence and the safety he represented. People will talk, she said weakly. Let them. I want the world to know you're mine. Vincent reached across the table to take her hand. Unless you're not ready, I'm ready. The certainty in her own voice surprised Emma. I'm terrified, but I'm ready. Vincent's smile was radiant. He stood and pulled her into his arms, spinning her around the dining room as she laughed with pure joy. There's one more thing, he said when he set her down. What? Instead of answering, Vincent dropped to one knee right there in his dining room, producing a ring box from his jacket pocket. Emma's hands flew to her mouth as he opened it to reveal the most beautiful ring she'd ever seen. Not the gaudy showpiece Marcus had chosen, but an elegant vintage setting with a perfect princess-cut diamond surrounded by sapphires. Emma Catherine Wells, Vincent said, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. Will you marry me? Vincent, we've only been together 3 months. I knew after 3 days. The rest was just making sure you felt the same. He stayed on one knee, patient and sure. I love you. I want to build a life with you, have children with you, grow old with you. I want to wake up every morning knowing you're mine, and fall asleep every night with you in my arms. Emma's eyes filled with tears. Happy tears this time. Yes, she whispered, then louder. Yes, of course, yes. Vincent slipped the ring onto her finger with hands that shook slightly. It fit perfectly, catching the candlelight like it was made for her hand. How did you know my size? Emma asked through her tears. I had my jeweler guess based on photographs. If it didn't fit, we would have had it resized. Vincent stood and cupped her face in his hands. I've been carrying this ring for 2 weeks, waiting for the perfect moment. This was perfect. Emma rose on her toes to kiss him. You're perfect. No, Vincent said against her lips, but I'll spend my life trying to be perfect for you. The wedding was planned for 6 months later, long enough to do it properly, short enough that Vincent wouldn't lose his mind waiting. Emma wanted something elegant, but not ostentatious, something that celebrated their love without becoming a media circus. Vincent, who could have filled a cathedral with business associates and politicians, instead helped Emma plan an intimate ceremony for family and close friends. He flew in her college roommate from California, tracked down her favorite teacher from high school, even located a distant cousin she'd mentioned once in passing. The night before the wedding, Emma stood in the penthouse that had become her home, watching the city lights twinkle below. Tomorrow she would become Mrs. Vincent Torino. The scared, small woman who had fallen down those hotel stairs 8 months ago was gone, replaced by someone confident, cherished, loved. Having second thoughts? Vincent's voice came from the doorway. Emma turned to smile at her fiancé. Never. Just thinking about how much has changed. Regrets? Only one. Emma moved into his arms, loving how perfectly she fit against him. I regret that I wasted so many years not knowing what real love felt like. Vincent's kiss was soft, sweet, full of promise for their future. We have the rest of our lives to make up for lost time. The wedding was everything Emma had dreamed of and more. She walked down the aisle of the small chapel to Vincent's brilliant smile, her dress a confection of silk and lace that made her feel like a princess. When he took her hands at the altar, Emma saw tears in his storm-gray eyes. You are my heart, Vincent whispered as they exchanged rings. My home, my everything. And you are my protector, Emma replied, her voice clear and strong. My love, my forever. When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, Vincent's kiss was gentle, reverent, full of awe that this woman, his woman, had chosen to spend her life with him. The reception was held at the Blackstone Hotel, in the same ballroom where they'd first met. Emma laughed when she realized Vincent had planned that on purpose. Full circle, he murmured as they swayed together during their first dance. No, Emma corrected, her eyes shining with love and joy. This isn't an ending, Vincent. It's our beginning. As if summoned by her words, several of Emma's students appeared at the edge of the dance floor with their parents. Vincent had invited her entire class, along with their families. Little Lucy waved enthusiastically. You got your prince, Miss Emma, she called out, making the nearby guests chuckle. Vincent threw back his head and laughed, the sound rich with happiness. Yes, he said, loud enough for everyone to hear, and the prince got his princess. Emma's heart overflowed as she looked around at the faces surrounding them. Friends, family, students, colleagues, all gathered to celebrate their love. This was what happiness looked like. This was what it meant to be cherished, protected, loved beyond measure. I love you, Mr. Torino, she whispered against Vincent's lips. I love you too, Mrs. Torino, he replied, forever and always. As they kissed to the applause and cheers of their guests, Emma knew that she had found her fairy tale ending. Not because a powerful man had swept her off her feet, but because she had found someone who saw her true worth and loved her exactly as she was. The scared woman who had been pushed down those stairs was gone forever. In her place stood a confident, cherished wife who knew without doubt that she would be loved and protected for the rest of her life. And as Vincent spun her around the ballroom floor, Emma realized that sometimes the best love stories began with falling, literally, into the arms of the right person at exactly the right moment. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, because I am trying to prove to my mom that I can actually do this. It would mean the world to me. I love you all. Have a nice day.